Well, hello everybody. It's officially after midnight here in the UK. It's actually 10 to 1. I do apologise. Uh, it is now the 24th of November 2024. Now, for most people out there among the YouTube community, most of you watching this video, that doesn't really mean anything to you. Oh, what's so special about 24th of November? 24th of November was the day I was born. I have come to the end of my 37th year on this planet and I've started my 38th, which, for those who haven't worked that out particularly, means I'm now 37 years old. What a time to be alive. Okay, now look to hit the sarcasm in there. I mean, there's a lot to talk about, isn't there? There's a lot of problems with the world, a lot of fucking great problems with the world, and I don't mean great as in brilliant. Yeah. Great. I mean, great as in fucking massive. There are some massive problems with the world at the moment. Yeah. So let's start with a couple of ones I've heard recently. Um, with Donald Trump set to take his post as president of the United States in a couple of months' time, I believe he's been elected the next president. Fucking well done, Donald. I knew you could do it. It's not a surprise to me that you won. I mean, look who you were running against. If it wasn't for Biden, uh, obviously it was Kamala Harris. I think it was. There was no fucking two ways about it. Trump was going to win, and Trump did win, and I think that's going to be brilliant for America, actually. And I'm not saying that in an ironic or sarcastic way. Trump is going to be brilliant for America, just as he was in his last presidency, because Donald Trump doesn't take any shit. So Trump becoming president in America is an absolutely brilliant thing. But ahead of Trump being made president, I don't know how it works over there in America. There's like a grace period after the election to when the person takes office, right? Joe Biden's people, not Joe Biden himself, of course, because he's no longer in charge, have decided to allow the Ukraine to use American missiles against Russia. Okay, fair enough. Go ahead, do it. Right? Doesn't make any difference. What other reason would there be to be giving these missiles or making them available for them if you're not going to let them use them? Okay, fair enough. You let them use them. Right. Here in England, our Prime Minister, two-tier Keir Starmer, has also gone along with the Americans and decided, yeah, they could use our missiles as well against Russia. Okay, fair enough, right? What's the point in missiles being there if they're not going to use them, right? If we're not going to allow them to use them, why are the missiles there, right? It's fucking pointless. They're just sat there doing nothing. Maybe they weren't sat there doing nothing. Maybe they were sat somewhere else. I don't fucking know, right? I don't know how all this shit works, right? Because I'm not up with the way our missiles are going in the Ukraine. I don't know whether they were just sat there doing fuck all and they weren't allowed to use them, or whether they now have to be transported there from somewhere else, something like that. But here is the problem, right? Most of those missiles, whether they be the American ones or the English ones, have to be transported to the Ukrainian forces so they can be fired. Now, one of the places they're going to come from is strategic bases within Poland. Now, Putin, of course, will have to stop those missiles being fired. So he can either attack the places where the missiles are coming from, which means he has to let the missiles be shot and then work out where they're coming from and shoot back, or he has to stop the missiles getting to the places where they're going to be fired, which means he may have to attack the places within Poland where the missiles are being stored, which means, therefore, Russia is attacking Poland. Now, if Russia attacks Poland, even if it's just to go for armed missiles while they're sat in buildings doing fuck all, that's an act of war against Poland, and of course an act of war against NATO forces, because Poland, of course, is part of NATO when Russia isn't. So if Russia and Vladimir Putin himself decides to attack these bases in Poland, that is attacking Poland, which is attacking NATO, and that means, ladies and gentlemen out there, prepare yourself for a shock, sit down, make sure you've got a cup of tea. That means NATO forces will put boots on the ground, and that is the start of World War III. So, because of Biden's administration in America trying to do everything they can to fuck up Trump's ascension to the presidency, and because our Prime Minister now is an absolute wanker, we may be drawn into World War III against Russia. Now, what do I think about this? Well, if you want to go back a number of years back to World War II, a gentleman with a stupid mustache and a silly haircut by the name of Adolf Hitler decided in his infinite wisdom while fighting the Allies on the Western Front, the English, the French, so on and so forth, while he was fighting us, he decided to turn his attention to Russia in the northeast. So he then had to fight on two fronts. He was fighting us on the Western Front, his Western Front, and then he had to go send some troops east to fight the Russians. And he went pretty far into Russia. If you look into the history of World War II, he went pretty far into Russia. I believe he got as far as Stalingrad, and that was it. And then once he hit Stalingrad, the morality of the morale of the Russians or whatever was galvanized, because it's Stalingrad. It was a city that bore the name of the premier. It was Stalingrad. It wasn't anywhere else. It was Stalingrad. And they decided the Germans are not going to take Stalingrad. And we're going to make the rue the day that they ever fucking attacked it. And they did. And they pushed the Germans all the way back from Stalingrad, all the way back to Berlin. And it was the Russians, of course, who were the first to march into Berlin and the first to march into the Reichstag, which was the German military headquarters at the time of World War II. Don't know if it still is to this day. I'm not sure. Right? So the Germans, and especially Hitler, learned very quickly, don't fuck with the Russians. But there's a difference between then and now, because even though the Russians stopped the Germans and pushed them back and were basically an unstoppable force. Right? You saw the way the Russians fought in World War II. They were an unstoppable force, right? You killed one and two more fucking came. They had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of soldiers, right? You just couldn't stop them. You could get your machine guns out. The Germans had their MG42s and they would go, right? And they still kept coming. The difference between them and now is obviously Russia still has a big military, right? But they've been engaged in this conflict with Ukraine for however long it's been going on. And if we put NATO boots on the ground and it becomes a world war, I don't think there's going to be many people on Russia's side. And if there is, they're not really going to be able to get there to help them. And it's going to be the entirety of NATO against Russia. Now, when it was Hitler, it was just Germany versus the Russians. It was a one-on-one fight. And Russia won. Which anyone with a brain could see that they would. Because you don't fuck with the Russians. Well, if it's the entirety of NATO against Russia, Russia have lost. I'm sorry to anyone out there who thinks Russia would win. Russia has lost. Because if the entirety of NATO, every NATO country goes in against Russia, Russia's lost. Pretty fucking quickly. They used to say World War One, it'll be over by Christmas. Right? If the war started now, it would be over by Christmas. Russia's lost if NATO boots go on the ground. Because that's a lot of countries sending the military over. But of course, we don't want this to happen. Because a couple of years back, when the Russia-Ukraine incident started, Um, Vladimir Putin said, because we were supplying suppliers and that to Ukraine, and Putin said basically, "Oh yeah, you could supply them whatever you want. You know, don't make any difference to me. But you put boots on the ground, and I'm launching the nukes." Now I don't know about you, ladies and gentlemen, but I don't think Putin is one to bluff. Right? I certainly wouldn't want to play a game of poker with him. Because if I beat him, he'd shoot me. But right, I wouldn't want to play poker with him, right? Because he's got a hell of a fucking poker face, right? And you can never tell if he's bluffing or not. But I don't think he's bluffing, right? But I will point out this, right? For those of you who are scared that he might launch nukes, right? Putin knows, as well as you or I do, Putin knows that the minute he launches a nuke, he's dead. And so are a lot of his people. Because it's the old story. They launch their nukes, we launch our nukes, they launch their nukes, they launch their nukes, they launch their nukes, they launch their nukes, so on and so forth. Everyone will nuke everyone, and the world will be destroyed. Right? Putin doesn't want that. Nobody wants that. We all have nuclear weapons. There's always a threat of nuclear war, but no one really wants it to happen. I can't see Putin doing it, but he's also not one to bluff. So it's a twitchy one, right? But I'm assuming that before July next year, there's going to be NATO boots on the ground. There's going to be soldiers from all countries of NATO out there ready to fight. Now, us in England, our military is, well, it's not much to write home about, right? So if we want to put boots on the ground out there, then we need a lot more soldiers, which means possibly conscription. Which means people like you and me, you know, if you're in England and within a certain age range, male or female, won't make any difference, might be called up to serve in the military. Now, here's my thoughts on that. For those that might be thinking of calling me up to military service, I will not go across and help the Ukraine fight Russia. I will not fight for this country's interests abroad. I won't. But what I will do is fight for my country, right here, within the country. Because there are a few things within this country that need sorting out, and one of them is we need to get rid of two-tier army stuff. I will not go over to another country and fight for my country, but I will stay here and I will fight for my country. And there is a difference. I'm sure a lot of people out there agree with me, especially if they live within England or the greater UK. Fuck going overseas to fight for the interests of our country and to fight for our country and all that sort of stuff. We want to fight for our country right here and ensure that our country is worth fighting for. Because one thing to go abroad and fight for your country, but is your country worth fighting for? And for me, at the moment, I say my country is not worth fighting for. So I ain't gonna fucking do it unless I'm fighting within this country against the enemies of this country. So I'm not going across to fucking Ukraine or whatever to help fight the Russians. Fucking no way. It'd be more likely I'll go across to Russia and help them fight you. Go to Vladimir Putin himself and say, give me a sniper rifle and I'll kill anyone that comes anywhere near the building. I'll protect you, mate. Not that I have any love for Vladimir Putin. I mean, I don't. Right? I mean, to me, he's just a Russian bloke. I mean, I don't know him. Right? It's nothing to do with me. So I'm trying to sort my hair out. I mean, it's nothing to do with me. But if it comes to fighting for the interests of our country, I'd rather go over there and fight against the interests of our country. And I'm sure a lot of people within this country would feel the same way. Yeah? Because our country has shown complete fucking deference to us. That's the wrong word. complete contempt for us within our country at the moment. So why the fuck should I fight for people who show me contempt? You can fuck right off. Other than that, as I mentioned in the previous live stream, Donald Trump becoming president of the United States of America might give two-tier Keir Starmer the necessary kick up the arse he needs to get the country back on track. Personally, I think, and I've been saying it for quite a few weeks now, two-tier Keir needs to be arrested. I mean, did he or did he not say about a month back that he was going to hammer those who incite hatred and violence, especially online, and make sure that they are punished to the fullest extent of the law, which he can't do, by the way. That's down to the individual judges in the cases. Right? But he's going to hammer those who incite hatred and violence and see them punished to the fullest extent of the law. When I put it to you, Keir Starmer, Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, since you became Prime Minister, you have incited more hatred and more violence than anyone else in this country has in the last 20 years. Now, granted, a lot of that hatred and violence, especially the hatred, has been aimed towards you because you're a fucking moron. Right? But you've incited a lot of hatred and a lot of violence. The Southport riots were your fault. I mean, they were, thinking about it, right? They were. Especially now we know who actually did it. The amount of rapes and sexual assaults in this country that have gone way up are his fault. And that incites hatred and violence against the people doing it and against him for allowing it to happen. The amount of murders, stabbings, and stuff like that in this country has gone way up since it's at an all-time high since about, 20 years ago when we had the big knife amnesty across the country. Do you remember that? I do. There's a big knife amnesty across the country. In order to tackle knife crime, you could go down to the police station and hand your knives in. Okay? Because there was a massive amount of knife crime. Knife crime is at an all-time high that it's never been at in those 20 years. And most of those knife crimes are committed by foreign nationals, most of which probably illegal foreign nationals within this country. Again, Keir Starmer's fault, because he's just letting the fuckers in. And now we've recently heard that in a place called Altrincham, wherever it is, right, however you pronounce it, right, they're opening another migrant hotel for illegal immigrants. Sorry, undocumented migrants, illegal immigrants, undocumented migrants. What are you talking about? Illegal immigrants, right? They're opening an illegal immigrant hotel right next to a girls' school. Well, I don't know about you, ladies and gentlemen, but I predict a massive spike in sexual assaults and rapes in that area very soon. Obviously, I wouldn't like it to happen. I wouldn't like it to happen at all. And obviously, if it does happen, it's horrible for the girls and their families involved. But I mean, you can see it coming. You're putting hundreds of illegal immigrants that you don't know who they are. You don't know where they came from. You don't know what they do. You don't know if they're criminals from their own country. You don't know if they're a bunch of fucking rapists or murderers or whatever, right? You don't know whether they're a bunch of Muslims who love to fuck 9-year-olds anyway. Right? And you're putting them unsecured right next to a girls' school. What do you think is going to fucking happen? Whoever came up with that idea wants a punch in the fucking mouth. And when bad things do happen, which they will, I hope they won't, but I know they will, and I'm sure you know they will too, because you put people who would happily fuck kids near little girls. What's going to happen, right? I mean, think about it. Stabbing schoolgirls like in Southport, bad enough, right? Well, one of the worst things you could probably do, in fact. right? But now you put in a bunch of illegal immigrants that would happily fuck children because it's okay in their culture next to a girls' school. What do you think is going to happen? It doesn't take a fucking genius like me to work that out. I can see it coming. I've already made the prediction on several comments on videos on YouTube, and I'm making it again right here, right now, on my birthday, 24th of the 11th, 2024. I'll give it a few months of these illegal immigrants being put in this hotel next to a girls' school, and the rate of sexual assaults and rapes in that area will skyrocket. But no one will be able to decide, oh, who it is that's doing it. Oh, no one will make the connection between the fact that there's a bunch of illegal immigrants that are most probably Muslims right next to a girls' school. No one will make this connection. No. Just like no one made the connection that the cunt who did the Southport incident, right, was obviously a Muslim, right? Which it's now been revealed he has ties to Islam. He was a Muslim. Of course he fucking was. Muslims are the only people around the world who believe girls shouldn't get an education. So who else is going to kill school girls? Not school boys, school girls. Obviously, it's a fucking Muslim, isn't it? Don't take a fucking genius to work it out. And the people worked it out, and that's why there was all the riots and stuff. Well, the riots and stuff wasn't just because a Muslim had killed a bunch of schoolgirls, because no one knew it was a Muslim. It was partly because of what had happened, and partly because we weren't being told anything, yet we knew what had happened. We knew what kind of person it was, what kind of religion he followed. We knew. And the fact that they weren't going to tell us made it worse. We know the only people in this country that thinks girls shouldn't get educated, girls shouldn't have a job, is Muslims. Not all Muslims, I'll admit. Some Muslims are perfectly happy just to live the way we live, right? But there are some Muslims in this country and some Muslims that come to this country that don't think girls should go to school, get an education, don't think women should work. I think that women should be subservient to men at all times and basically treat women as second-class citizens. Right? And they're here in this country doing that, which of course is against the law, but they get away with it. And that leads me, back to two-tier care. I mean, everyone can claim there isn't a two-tier policing and two-tier justice system in this country as much as they like, but the facts speak for themselves. And really, right, there actually, about 15-ish years ago, was set up a two-tier policing system in this country. It's been revealed. It was set up that they should prosecute anyone who wasn't a white English person less. So that was any foreigner should be treated better than an English person. Now it's just one particular type of foreigner, and we all know what type. I don't even have to say it. These people are always going on about some kind of snack bar run by a guy called Alan. Fuck it, I'll say it because everyone else is too afraid to. Muslims. I've mentioned the word over the course of this video for the last 23 minutes. Muslims are the problem. Not all, as I've said, not all Muslims. Some are actually quite nice. I've had a few nice conversations with some Muslims. We've talked about the Quran and the similarities between Islam and Christianity and stuff like that. No problems whatsoever. Weren't threatening me, weren't saying I was belittling the religion, weren't saying I was besmirching Allah or anything like that. Just listened to my question, took it as a general question, a genuine question rather, which it was, right, and gave a genuine answer. If I say, it says this in the Quran, what exactly does that mean? They told me what it meant. How important was the Prophet Muhammad? Oh, he was this important. Why does it mention Jesus in the Quran? Good question. Right? I've had some pretty good conversations with Muslims, right? There's some nice Muslims out there, some really nice Muslims out there, right? They just want to live their lives the way I want to live mine. Right? They don't smoke, they don't drink, but they don't care that you smoke and you drink. They've got no problem with it. They don't want to change you. They don't want to stop you smoking, stop you drinking, or anything like that. They don't want to change how you live your life. and they're not going to change how they live theirs. Yeah? The way they say it is, I live life my way, mainly due to my religion. You live your way, basically mainly due to your religion or not, or lack thereof. Right? You have your way of life, I have my way of life. Let's just live. Right? And they'll be friends with you. I know people that are friends with a lot of Muslims and Sikhs and Hindus and God knows what else. Like, and Tommy Robinson, I mentioned Tommy Robinson. He's very friendly with Sikhs. If he was a right wing, far right, racist, fascist thug, he wouldn't be friends with Sikhs and black people and brown people and Chinese people and Muslims and Sikhs and Hindus and things wouldn't turn up to his gatherings. Because if him and all his friends are a bunch of far right racist thugs, then he wouldn't see black people there, Chinese people there, people from all backgrounds and religions and things like that. They wouldn't be there, would they? But they are. So obviously he's not the far right racist we're all led to believe. And of course, he's not. Right? I'll tell you he's not. Right? I mean, I've never met the man. I'd like to. I'd like to speak to him. I'd love to speak to him. If anyone out there can help me speak to Tommy Robinson, I would love to speak to him. I'd love to do an interview with him on my YouTube channel. I'd love to have a conversation with him. But as far as I'm concerned, from what I've seen of him, he's not far right. He's not racist. He's not a thug. He's basically just like me. He cares about this country. He cares about the people of this country. He cares about the culture of this country, the heritage, the history, the future of this country. He cares about it all. And he just wants to ensure that all of that is preserved. That's all. If that makes him a far right racist thug, then that makes me a far right racist thug. And it makes at least half of the population of the UK far right racist thugs. Because there's a lot of us out there. I've spoken to quite a few of you. There's a lot of us out there that think the exact same way Tommy Robinson does. It's not about, let's get all foreigners out of the country, because you're England for the English. It's nothing to do with that. You listen to Tommy speak. You listen to what he says, the way he says it. There's not a racist bone in his body. He has specific problems with specific things. And he has the same specific problems with specific things that you and I do. That's it. Fuck, calling him a racist. Oh, apparently now he's a fucking terrorist too. So, yeah, as if Tommy Robinson, a person who loves this country, is a terrorist. Who comes up with this shit? All he's ever done is wanted to protect the people of this country and the country itself. How the fuck is he a terrorist? What's he going to do? Blow it up in order to save it? Again, people have tried to do that back in the day, haven't they? Guy Fawkes wanted to blow up Parliament in order to save the country. Shame he's not around now. Fuck! See that? Fuck it. Hot ash jumped on 3 fingers. But I mean, here we are on my birthday, and the world's looking fucking grimmer than ever. I mean, in the entirety of my 37 years on this planet, I mean, I've never really been into politics or anything like that. I mean, I didn't start becoming political until about, 10 years ago. And I've never been any kind of activist or anything like that, or anything political minded or religious minded or anything like that. And I only started even looking at politics 10 years ago, right? I wasn't voting or anything or thinking, this person's better than that person, whatever. I was just looking at politics. I didn't really understand any of it back then. I've understood more and more as the years have gone on. Right? And in the last 10 years, bloody hell. Well, no, it's more than 10 years. Whatever it was that Tony Blair was in charge, that's when I started taking notice of politics. So from then to now, however long that is, that's how long I've been taking notice of politics. I've become more and more political over the years. Right? And I'd say I'm more like a centrist. I'm in the middle. Sometimes I agree with the left, sometimes I agree with the right. Depends on what it is they're arguing about. But the left these days, they've gone so far left that someone in the middle, like me, looks right by comparison. Right? I mean, if here was the centre, right, and here was the left, and here was the right, right, the left have gone so far over there that the centre is now over there, and the right is still over here, right? Of course, then you got far right, which is now off the screen. Because what has happened to the left? Fucking hell, you've gone so far left, you almost come back around the other side. I wouldn't be surprised if the far left end up being the far right in a couple of years' time because they've gone completely around in a circle and end up joining the other side. Because I don't think you could get further left than becoming right. Think of it like going around the planet. Like you go far enough west that you end up being east. Or far enough east that you become west. I mean, there's just so many problems in the world today. Someone's joined us. Maybe you can say hello, whoever you are. I think that's what that little indicator at the top of the screen means. It means someone's joined the thing. Oh, they book it up again now. There is someone out there. I don't know who it is. Maybe someone can tell me. There's someone who keeps joining my live chats, watches it for about 5 seconds, then fucks off again. Doesn't say anything in the live chat thing or anything at the side of the screen. Right? Doesn't say hello. Doesn't give an opinion. Just jumps in, watches for about 5-10 seconds, fucks off again. That bugs the hell out of me. If you're going to join my live stream, at least say hello so I know who you are. I mean, I'm guessing it's one of my viewers, because otherwise they wouldn't know I'm fucking live, would they? Even though I usually go live just like on the fly, I don't like schedule it for like, I don't know, next Wednesday. It's just like, oh, I'll go live now. Well, I'll go live 30 minutes ago, rather. Nearly 33 minutes ago in a couple of seconds. Wait, boom, 33. Although that might be wrong to you, because it might have said I was recording 2 or 3 seconds before it tells me I'm recording, which is why sometimes I'm sat here like a plank like this doing nothing before I start speaking, because I'm waiting for it to tell me in the corner that I'm recording, broadcasting. Right? So you might actually just see me sitting like a plank for a few seconds before I begin. It's just popped in and left again. He, she, I don't fucking know. Right? Just popped in and left again for 5 seconds. Why are you doing that? What is wrong with you? Do you not want to be associated with my videos? Do you not want to leave a comment in the chat in case people connect you with the things I'm saying and think that you're a far-right racist as well? Far-right racist. I'm about as much a far-right racist as you are. Whoever you are. I'm certainly not a far-right racist. And of course, neither is Tommy Robinson. So what else has been going on in the world? 37 years old now. What's been going on in the world? Also, we've got the Israel-Palestinian situation is still going on, to my knowledge. They may have finally sorted out Gaza completely. I'm not sure. Maybe someone can tell me in the comments. I know they were attacked at one point by Hezbollah, and I think they killed 1 or 2 people who were like in charge of that or something like that. I know someone else attacked them at some point as well. I'm not sure who. And of course, Saudi Arabia has been very quiet now. I don't know whether you know. number of months back, some country or other decided to aim missiles at Israel, and Saudi Arabia shot them out of the sky. Well, thank you, Saudi Arabia, I suppose. Well done. You know, Saudi Arabia is a Muslim country. You'd think they would want to help the Israelis in any way, shape, or form, but no, they shot the missiles out of the sky. From what we've heard, I don't know whether it's true or not, but from what we've heard, Saudi Arabia intercepted some missiles that were aimed at Israel. Makes you wonder where the fuck they came from. Probably the other side of Saudi Arabia then. If Israel's this side, whatever's the other side. Don't know what's over there. I don't know much of the geography of the area. But yes, very interesting. A lot of problems in the world at the moment. What a wonderful time to be alive. Let's hope with Donald Trump becoming president of the United States that things might calm down. Don't know whether we can sort out the Ukraine-Russia thing. Don't know whether we can sort out the Israel-Palestinian thing. Probably be able to help us over here in England. Kick Keir Starmer with the arse, but I'm not sure what else they can do. He's got some pretty good ideas for his own country over there. A lot of what he's been saying about what he wants to do for America sounds pretty damn good. And I say that unironically and with no sarcasm. Does sound pretty damn good. I'm sure a lot of people would agree. And obviously a lot of people do agree because they all voted for him. So, I don't know by how much he won, but he definitely won. I don't think it'll be as close as a Brexit vote. What happened to Brexit? That's another thing they're sorting out. Of course, Keir Starmer's trying to backdoor us back into the EU. Sorry, mate, that ain't gonna happen. You backdoor us back into the EU, mate, and you're gonna find yourself in some serious fucking shit because the people ain't gonna stand for it. Because we voted to leave. And whether you agree with that vote or not, you respect the will of the fucking British people. When we vote to do something, you fucking well do it. Because if you ain't going to respect that vote, then you can't respect the vote that got you into office. Which means you fucking resign, prick. And I think that's about all I have to say. So, if you have any opinions or thoughts on what I've spoken about in this video, feel free to leave a comment. Obviously, as I always say, respect other people's opinions as much as you expect them to respect yours. But respect my opinion, even if you disagree with me. If you do disagree with me, let me know. I'd love to know what you disagree with. Maybe we could have a civil conversation. I'd like that. I'd really like that. We might not change each other's minds, but we might give certain points that the other person doesn't know. I'm all for civil discussions, So, as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video or in the next live stream, whatever it'll be, whenever it'll be, and yeah, see you then.